It is that nice time of the year here at the end of September, the early part of October, where there usually aren't a lot of weather concerns. We're kind of pre-blizzard season. We're kind of post most of the storms. You can still get a little thunderstorm activity, sometimes strong. You can get an early snow, but usually this time of the year is relatively quiet. Sometimes this relatively quiet time of year becomes like it is this year, where it just goes kind of super quiet. So for the next couple of weeks, I really don't anticipate a lot of tough weather across the region. It looks generally warmer than average, not particularly wet, perhaps not bone dry, but not particularly wet. But this time of year, wet, dry doesn't matter too much. We have gotten some moisture replenishing rains over the last few weeks in the northern plains and upper Midwest and so on. In general, it looks like kind of a doldrum pattern, kind of a quiet pattern. Now, the jet stream is not going to be immobile. There will be weather. As we start out the pattern here this weekend, we've got some pretty hot temperatures in the central and southern Great Plains and pretty warm weather really over most of the United States. A little cool pocket of air down into the Great Lakes and coming down through British Columbia. It's cold up in Alaska, cold across northern Canada. As we go through the week, there'll be some troughing or some low pressure building out along the west coast that will simply reinforce the warm air through the middle. So we're going to see temperatures getting perhaps as warm as 80 degrees into North Dakota, northern Minnesota. There may even be some 90s in some of this a little bit further south. I think the Northeast will start cooling down as we go through the week, and the Pacific Northwest will have some cool weather. But notice we get toward the end of the week, starting to see some shifts in this pattern. So the warm or mild weather will continue. The really hot weather will get pushed back down toward the Gulf Coast, where it's a little more standard, and of course the Mojave Desert and the Southwest will continue to be hot. As we enter into the second week, we're dealing with a lot of mild weather across the United States, and for the first full week of October, I'm not really anticipating that will change very much. There are some signs of a little bit of a trough developing along the eastern seaboard, which will bring some cool weather into Maine and New England and parts of the Northeast and eastern Canada, mostly the Maritimes. And the hot weather will kind of hang pretty steady here in the central plains. Most of this not like summertime heat, just much warmer than average. And toward the end of the period, that would be toward the end of that first full week of October, we may finally see some cooling starting to take shape into the northern plains. For this first week, the wet weather will be down near the Gulf Coast, some scattered showers in the Great Lakes of lighter duration and lighter amounts. Most of the Rockies, central Canada fairly wet, not much rain down the west coast except for the far Pacific Northwest. The second week also looking fairly dry. There'll be some rain in the east, maybe some scattered showers in the middle, but a lot of mild dry weather.